Welcome to another part of the CoreTrustSeal requirements video series. In this series, we talk you through the new CoreTrustSeal requirements for the period of 2023 to 25. You will learn about the details of each requirement, the evidence expected from applicants, extended guidance, and the changes compared to the previous version of the requirements. This video covers requirement number 13. Requirement number 13 of CoreTrustSeal is reuse, and it reads as follows. The repository enables reuse of the digital objects over time, ensuring that appropriate information is available to support understanding and use. Why is this a requirement of a trustworthy digital repository? Trustworthy digital repositories must ensure that data and metadata continue to be understood and used effectively into the future, despite changes in technology and the designated community's knowledge base. Changes in technology and in the methodologies and norms employed by the designated community can lead to a need to change the structure, content, or delivery mechanisms for data and metadata. It is critical that curation processes are designed that ensure digital objects remain understandable over time and usable by the designated community. Depositors must be ensured that their data will remain relevant over time, following the most recent standards and norms for their field. A repository that can promise this will be the top choice for researchers who are looking to be maximally cited and reused. Users should be able to find, understand, and use data without problem, no matter when it was originally deposited. When standards or common practices and technologies change over time, users shouldn't be the ones to translate older data into the future, but the repository should be the one to offer this service. This requirement evaluates the measures taken to ensure that data and metadata are reusable. The evidence that is needed in the response statement for this requirement should demonstrate that the repository has both an in-depth knowledge of reuse scenarios and the needs of the designated community in terms of their practices, technical environment, and adherence to applicable standards. Evidence needed in a response statement includes the ways in which the repository engages with their designated community of users to identify their needs, the data formats, metadata schemas, controlled vocabularies, and ontologies used to support reuse, and how these meet the community needs. If only a general level metadata schema, such as Dublin Core or DataCite, is in place, the evidence should demonstrate that this is sufficient for continued understandability of the preserved content by the designated community. The metadata and documentation provided at the point of access to support understandability and reuse appropriate to the designated community. This may include information specific to data type, for example, manuals, calibration records, photos, or protocols. Measures to ensure that data and metadata remain understandable. And lastly, management of changes to data, metadata, documentation, or other information that supports reuse. Responses to this requirement should focus on engagement with the designated community, identification of their need, and specifying how their needs are met. A couple of example statements from applications are presented here to further explain some aspects of the evidence that is expected for requirement number 13. Please note that these are merely examples of aspects of the requirement and by no means complete response statements. In the first example, the applicant indicates that no versioning of data records is possible. It makes it harder to facilitate long-term reuse, as the record cannot be updated to reflect changes in metadata, documentation, or other important information. It would be recommended for the repository to implement a versioning process. The second example gives a clear view of how the repository stays informed about the designated community and identifying their needs. This is a great way to facilitate trust and long-term reuse possibilities. The third example shows a way of ensuring data formats are suitable for the long-term reuse. Additional information that would strengthen this response even further would be to detail how this list is curated and kept relevant to the designated community. The last example contains too little information. The requirement stipulates that when repositories use only a general metadata schema, such as Dublin Core, this must be supplemented with information on how this use is sufficient for reuse and understandability in the designated community. Almost nothing has changed for this requirement compared to the previous version of the CoreTrustSeal requirements. The place and the order and structure of the requirements has remained unchanged. This requirement is still related to the topic of digital object management, though its number has shifted from 14 to 13 due to other changes in the requirements. The name and description have changed slightly to fit with the overall changes in the requirements that aim to widen the scope to not only include data, but also metadata and digital objects in general. Slight changes have been made to the guidance text to better clarify the evidence expected in the response statement. This concludes the instruction on Requirement 13 of the new CoreTrustSeal requirements. Similar instruction videos can be found on all the other requirements on the CoreTrustSeal YouTube channel. You can find the full set of new requirements for the period of 2023 to 25 on the CoreTrustSeal website. If you have any remaining questions or would like more information, please contact CoreTrustSeal using the email address shown here.